From Southern California beach towns to the rolling hills surrounding San Francisco Bay to the lush vineyards of Napa and Sonoma, his talk will examine residential design in both urban and rural settings. Russell Abraham's striking architectural images and unique insight gives a human face to architects and their architecture that helps make California such a remarkable place. Now, Russell started out as a painter, by understanding, and Russell, correct me if I'm wrong.
I entered the profession through the back door, so to speak. I'd always been involved in fine arts, and I'd done a lot of different things in fine arts, from painting to sculpture, and I really liked architecture, but I was turned off by the profession, and I left it. And I started a career in photography, and eventually I became a photojournalist. And I think I was probably in my late 20s or early 30s making a living, or trying to make a living as a photojournalist. And so I bought an old view camera and I started to build a portfolio. And then I called some friends of mine from school and said, "You guys have a couple projects, can I photograph them?" And I started photographing their work, and then I built a portfolio.
Starting in the 1970s, the architectural press began featuring a group of academic architects, mostly centered around Princeton University, that created a variant on modern. It was aptly named postmodern.
So all of a sudden there was a dearth of folks doing it, and within about a year's time, the only people who were calling me were architects. It's pretty quick. Yeah, but it was pretty situational too. I was at the right place at the right time, and I really did like using that guy. It was a very slow, methodical. It was like going from checkers to chess.
Modernism has once again found its place at the top of the list of good design. Even the nouveau riche are forgoing their mini mansions for a modernist house. Here's a look at a handful of really great 21st century houses.
It was quite. It was a positive learning experience, and I also enjoyed working with the design communities.
Starting in the 1970s, the architectural press began featuring a group of academic architects, mostly centered around Princeton University, that created a variant on modern. It was aptly named postmodern, although it could have just as easily been named retro-modern. Geometries reminiscent of classical architecture and oversized ornamentation appeared on buildings. Round, stubby columns and grand arches were appended to perfectly fine buildings in an effort to give them some historical relevance.
There's always the question of who was here, who put this here, why did they put it here, what was their society like, and I think that's what happens when you're photographing buildings. Is you're underscoring that reality, or you're asking those questions, or your pictures should be asking those questions.
After decades of dormancy, modernism has once again become the popular style among the cognizant for residential design.
I think you're going to see more organic forms that are going to be integrated. Not exactly Frank Gehry, because Frank Gehry is kind of hard to replicate, but you're going to see, walls that curve like this, or surfaces that look like they're honeycombs, things like that, because they can be made, and we have the tools to make them. So I think through computer-aided manufacturing, design and manufacturing, we're going to see a lot more integration of organic forms in design.